are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast. I'm Larck, on Twitter, here to recap yesterday's Iron Bowl. And now I can officially apologize because I picked Auburn to win. I was feeling the bug probably a little too much, but nonetheless, Auburn did in fact lose 28-14 to the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll go through that in just a second. I just want to shout out, look at the nice little layout. Let me know how you feel about the layout going forward. But starting off with the Iron Bowl recap, of course, Auburn lost the Iron Bowl 28-14 in what was a very disappointing display of offense for Auburn. I mean, you had every opportunity to win this game. Auburn's defense, while giving up a lot of yards throughout the game, gave you opportunities. You had a lot of opportunities to win this game if you're Auburn. And, I mean, I have stats to talk about. I'll go ahead and pull them up because looking at total yards here, Auburn 399 to Bama's 457. So Alabama had about 60 yards more. If you go to the passing yards, Auburn had 300 passing yards for Peyton Thorne, 256 yards to Alabama. Rushing yards is going to be the big ticket talking point for this game. 98 for Auburn, 201 for Alabama. Third down percentage, Auburn was 33% in completion percentage on third down. Alabama 67% completed or got first down on 67% of their third downs. Turnovers, Auburn won the turnover battle. It was +2. And time possession, Alabama had the ball for 13 minutes longer than Auburn did. Now, those stats tell you the entire story of the game. Auburn pretty much gave up on the running game in the second half. In the first half, Jarquez Hunter had 10 carries for 55 yards. Third quarter comes around, fourth quarter comes around, Jarquez Hunter 13 carries in the game for 56 yards. Only got 3 yards, and Bama was really adamant on trying to load the box on stopping Jarquez Hunter. They blitzed a lot, trying to get pressure in the backfield just in general. But I never understood why you give up on the run game so quickly. I thought it was very stupid to do that. Even if Bama was keying in, Jarquez Hunter is the lifeblood of this Auburn offense. And when the running game works, Auburn's offense does. Peyton Thorne, 10 carries on the game. And if you go to the passing game, I mean, Auburn had a lot of success through the air, 301 yards, but you threw 41 passes. There has never been a game where I've been able to sit down and let Peyton Thorne throw it some more. It just doesn't and I can't say that Peyton Thorne didn't play well. I think he played a pretty decent game outside of the one garbage time interception, but there were a lot of opportunities where Peyton Thorne didn't attack the moment. He didn't take an opportunity. He either made a stupid play and threw the ball out of bounds. He did that one time on fourth down, which I don't understand why you just don't chunk it to the end zone at that point. But Peyton Thorne didn't lose this game, but he missed every opportunity to win it for Auburn. And, I mean, it comes down to a lot of things for that too. I think the play calling in this game was abysmal. There was a lot of opportunities that Auburn had that, you go tempo on third down on the 1 yard line. That didn't work out well. And, I mean, do I even have to mention the running back pass? That play, though I have differing opinions about my feelings about that, I think that play could work under certain scenarios. I think it'd be fine to run that. But when you're trying to flip the momentum in your favor, I don't like the play call there. I think it was poorly timed. I think if you're close in the game and you're looking for something to change the momentum in your favor, I think that play could work. But you got to give Jarquez Hunter more opportunities, for guys down the field. You can't throw a halfback screen to the left sideline and then his only receiver he has is on the right sideline. So instead of having a quarterback make that throw, or putting Hank Brown back there or Walker or I don't know who you put back there. You put Peyton Thorne right there, have Jarquez Hunter take the snap as if you're running Wildcat, and then make Peyton Thorne make that throw. I don't think you should have Jarquez Hunter have to make a cross-body throw across the field. And I know he said that he should have coached Jarquez better on that play. He should have thrown it the Peyton Thorne thrown it right back to him. But I think Peyton Thorne just gotten blown up too. I think that play just in general was poorly timed and poorly placed. But had it worked, I feel like we'd all be talking about how great of a play it was regardless. But so many missed opportunities in this game. And Auburn's offense just wasn't up to the task of beating Alabama. Yeah, another great performance from Keandre Lambert-Smith, who just finished 19 yards away from the first 1,000-yard receiving, first 1,000-yard season of it for Auburn receivers since I've been alive. I just missed it in 1999 for the last time it happened for Auburn. Cam Coleman had a great game. Started off very slow, only had 2 catches in the first half, but they made him a point in the second half, got himself a touchdown. Auburn's lone touchdown of the game. Defensively, I mean, going back to the yards, Auburn did give up a lot of yards on the ground. But at some point, your offense has to make up for that. You gave the offense 4 opportunities. This defense got 4 turnovers, 4 fumbles were picked up by Auburn. Ryan Williams had 1. I think Milroe had 4 fumbles, but one of them got picked up. But you had every opportunity. You got 4 turnovers with the offense giving you a return 6 points. Of course, you missed a field goal, but that's not something you can really look at as like a shocking factor anymore. Auburn's had kicking struggles all throughout the year. And while that kick should have been made, it wasn't. And it's just something that Auburn's had to deal with throughout the year. I was very surprised by the amount of times I didn't see Auburn just go for it on 4th down. And when they did, they made a stupid play call. Auburn punted the ball 4 times this game. But you had the red zone. You had the ball in the red zone 3 times, and he came out with 6 points in the red zone. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing for a coaching staff that has been self-proclaimed as offensive mastermind, quarterback guru, whatever you want to say. And I mean, in his press conference, he said it's a disappointing season throughout. I mean, and it has been. But you can't make these mistakes next year. Auburn's officially in the offseason. It's offseason time for Auburn football. Unless something happens and a 5-7 team finds a way to get into the bowl season. But it sucks looking at the schedule. I mean, if I pull up Auburn's schedule real quick and I look at Auburn's losses, and it sucks. You lost to Cal by 7. You lost to Arkansas by 10. You lost to Oklahoma by 6. You lost to Georgia by 18. You lost to Missouri by 4. You lost to Vanderbilt by 10. And you lose by 14 to Alabama. You did all that with a top 15 defense. Offense is to put up points. And, kind of looking ahead to next year, which is what you got to do. I mean, Auburn's going to be the point where they are the next year's our year thing. It's the most embarrassing part about Auburn. A team that has won a national championship this century. I mean, it's not like the Dallas Cowboys who won it in 96, saying every year is their year. No, this is the Auburn Tigers who have won a championship and have been to another one. Auburn's been in 2 national championships since 2010. Auburn has been in the SEC championship 3 times since 2010. This is not something. Auburn is a top 15 program in college football history, and got to the point where it's always the outlook is next year. Well, you know what? We don't have our guys this year. We'll get them next year. But you said that last year and in going into this year. You're saying that this year going into next year. At some point, that excuse no longer has any value to it. So, I mean, going forward, you got to fix the mistakes that you should know how to fix as an offensive-minded head coach. So, that's what you got to do. And I don't have much more to say about this game. This game it sucks that this is how Auburn season comes to a close with offensive, it's like sputtering that we watched. You gave up on the run game. You only had 23 carries on the game to 42 passing attempts. To Bama ran the ball 54 times on your defense. And I know a lot of people, there are a lot of old heads I've heard talk about this game, talk about how it was stupid that the freshmen were all talking mess about Auburn or talking about Alabama. I don't think that factored in this game at all. The offense didn't show up. The play calling didn't happen. It was all bad. It bad all the way through. And this had nothing to do with the jabs getting thrown back and forth. At halftime, this game was so manageable. It was so manageable at halftime. It was 14-6. And you had every opportunity to get this game within winning distance, and the offense sputtered. It sucks. It sucks. It was an embarrassing loss. Despite, I don't even care that Bama is number whatever they are in the country. They're number 11 in the AP poll. Yeah, every opportunity to end Bama's season. They didn't care about a bowl game. They want to make the playoffs. And all they needed was Auburn to win. Auburn can win this game. They could have won this game, but they didn't. Go into some of those comments before we kind of get into the offseason conversation. And then, of course, as you see, we have a nice little layout of what we're talking about today. Teresa, gymnastics is coming soon. Yes, it is. January, I believe. Is January 6th is when gymnastics starts? I know their schedule came out not too long ago, and their tickets became open. January 17th, they take on Arkansas to open up their season. So super excited for that. 47 days, to be exact. So, yeah, super excited for gymnastics. Warren Baker has a lot of opinions. He missed some wide open. Yes, he did. Real problem is up at this point is up front. Line has to be beefed up. I think the line played decent all season long. I think just with how much Bama blitzed, it kind of came into a factor there with how the offensive line looked. The offensive line this year has not been terrible. I mean, it's not been great by any factor of the word. I mean, Percy Lewis got taken out of the lineup, and the offensive line got better. Just this game, the blitz just didn't have anything for the blitz, and that's just the simple factor of that. A new quarterback with play calling that takes advantage of defense. Completely agree with that. Auburn's not far away. They need more players. Depth is key. The only position they weren't really deep at was corner, and the DBs were a bright spot on this team. Matt Steel TV, does anyone know if Austin Keys will return? That I'm not too sure of. I do know that Auburn's losing a lot of players, like seniors-wise, last year of eligibility. Eugene Asante being one of those guys going to go to the NFL. Dorian Mausi is going to be going to the I don't think he'll go to the league. He might, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. He had a great year this year. Austin Keys, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what year he is because I know he's transferred in from Ole Miss last year. Sorry for the clacking of my keyboard. He is a senior, but I don't know how many years of eligibility he has, which eligibility is such a hard thing to nail down. Better quarterback will make a difference from Warren Baker. Alabama is leaving the top. Auburn is climbing. It takes a little time. It does. I completely agree. Felt like it was a long shot to win, so what's the big deal? You had a chance to win it, and you didn't, and that's just kind of been the theme of the season. Better coaching, Auburn wins a few of these games that they lost, and we talk about Auburn going into next year with a bowl game this season. Teresa, and I'm trying to sit over this one. We need 3 stacked classes. Then we make mistakes. We can overcome them. That's why Bama can withstand the mistakes they made last night. 4 to 5 classes of 4 and 5 stars. Then you can overcome mistakes. I agree, but also I can raise South Carolina to you. South Carolina with Shane Beamer, I mean, they recruit decently, but they're doing what they do with less talent than what Auburn does. And we're talking about South Carolina, the potential playoff team. Auburn has, talent-wise, they're up there in the SEC. But when it comes to the wins in the win column, they're third to last in the conference. Weakest link, I'm not mad about the Bama loss. They are a better team overall right now. It's the Cal, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Vandy, Mizzou losses that bother me. I completely agree. I mean, Auburn was not favored to win this game. I had a feeling that Auburn would win it, but they did not. But Cal, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Missouri, you got to win those. I mean, we should be talking about a 9-3 Auburn team right now. If I going back to the schedule, if you take away all the one score, if you flip all the one score games that Auburn lost, you get 1, 2, 3 extra wins. So you're 8-4 in the year. If you flip all of the losses that Auburn lost by 7 or less, you get 8-4. That's a big difference between that and 5-7. So better coaching fixes some of those mistakes. And so, yes, there's a better quarterback. But regardless, now kind of just going on to the next point here. I mean, Iron Bowl conversation is going to be something to talk about because the last time we've seen this Auburn team till next year, till spring when practice start opening up. But looking at what's next for Auburn football, of course, signing day is Wednesday on the 4th. Hopefully, opportunity for Auburn to get a lot of these commits to sign. And, of course, there's going to be opportunity for a lot of teams to try to take away Auburn commits as well. Tavares Dice has, in fact, flipped his commitment from the Auburn Tigers to the Florida Gators. That happened on Saturday, right before the game. So, that was just one of the losses Auburn took on Saturday. Looking ahead, I mean, you got a lot of things you got to fix if you're Hugh Freeze. You go into year 3, you're probably slightly on the hot seat in a way. I don't want to say I don't think he's the highest one up there. I think there might be a SEC quarterback who might be up there with him, but I mean, Brian Kelly went 8-4 with LSU. I don't think Eli Drinkwitz is going to be on there. I don't think you're going to have I think Napier's got himself off of it. Sam Pittman, he might be up there. Brent Venable, definitely going to be up there with Hugh Freeze. Clark Lee, definitely not. Dude might get an extension. Mark Stoops might be on the hot seat right now. And Jeff Lebby is in year 1. He gets a mulligan for an 0-8, 2-10 season. But you only get so many of those. He opens up. He's going to be on the hot seat. He will be. If things aren't fixed in year 1, I mean, he might get through the rest of his season of year 3, despite no matter what, because it lowers the buyout. You can't be paying for another coach's buyout. That's the issue with going another coaching search. I'm not for the firing Freeze right now. I think it'd be stupid to fire him after a season like this. 5-7, despite it not being progress, is not a complete regression into where it should be a fireable offense. And of course, I know some of the plays that were called were bad, and play calling throughout the year was bad. And then you got to give it year 3. Shane Beamer's going on year 5 now, year 4, and he finally got this team turned around. South Carolina's now a playoff team. You got to give some coaches time, and if the issues that were year 1 problems and year 2 problems are still going to be year 3 problems, that's the conversation to be had going forward. Teresa, having a kicker that goes out with a chronic illness in the back of getting the yips was not on our bingo card. Lowell, if McPherson is available, we win those 1-score games. I agree. I mean, there's a lot of those. Oklahoma, you missed 2 kicks against Oklahoma, you lost by 6. But, and then maybe RPO doesn't mesh with most quarterbacks available. I think the RPO completely just needs to go. If I'm talking about what's next for Auburn football, take the RPO, rip all the plays out of the playbook, and throw them away unless you get a X-factor quarterback that knows how to run those plays. And I mean, Matt Steele just made a comment. I think Towns is still – I'm trying to fix my camera. I think Towns will be better next year. He has to be. But McPherson, you hope he gets better next year. You can't have and I understand. I think and I know all the stuff that he's done with the intestinal issues. Hopefully he gets better going the next year. You got to have a kicker that can make kicks. Vashon had a decent end of the season. I think he missed 2. I think 2 out of 6. Was he 4 of 6, I believe, on the year? He made all of his extra points. Yeah, 6 out of 8. There we go. So yeah. Towns 5 of 12. He has the talent. Towns has the talent. He has a leg. He just got to work on being ready for the stage that he gets in. McPherson, I just pray he gets better. Alex McPherson is such a great talent, and he's going to have such a successful career whenever he gets through this. And I'm so excited whenever he does, because Auburn needs to make field goals going forward. But a lot of things Auburn has to fix over the next year are internal. Play calling. You got to fix that. You cannot go in the next year and have this play call by committee thing that we've been seeing all year long. I don't want to hear next year that on this play Kent Austin called this play, but the next play Derek Nix called it, and the next play I called it, and the next play this happened, and the next year this happens. So that does not need to happen next year. Get rid of the play call by committee. If it takes, just get rid of play calling duties for coaches that are not a coordinator or are not you. If Derek Nix is going to be a recruiter, let him be a recruiter. If Kent Austin is a quarterback coach, let him coach the quarterbacks and prove to me that he can develop a quarterback. If Hugh Freeze wants to be the play caller, and he wants to be a play caller on this Auburn team, he needs to be the play caller. Or he needs to find a coordinator that will call the plays for him. You can't have your cake and eat it too in this situation. You need a coordinator who is a play caller. You don't need play callers. That's how you get the Tower of Babel situations that you had last year and this year. You can't have both. Make a decision and be the play caller. If you're an offensive guru, you should be able to run this offense solo. Derek Nix is a great recruiter. Let him coach the running backs and let him help you recruiting. Kent Austin, right now what we've seen, you're not developing quarterbacks. Peyton Thorne got better, I will say, but there were still those year one issues you dealt with last year, and you had a fifth-year quarterback that was still making rookie mistakes. Can't have that. You're going to get a do-over with, I want to say you're going to get a do-over with Hank Brown. You're going to have another year with Walker White, but you need to let your coordinator do his job. If you want Derek Nix to be the play caller, let him be the play caller. And of course, this is the issue to have with certain minded coaches. Clark Lee is the head coach of Vanderbilt, but he's a defensive play caller. Hugh Freeze is an offensive minded coach, and he's one of three play callers. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. And the biggest issue with the play calling is what gets said about it after the game. The conversations that get had after the game. I hate that every time the offense looks good, it's you single out the one guy who made the calls, but when the offense is playing bad, it's a we problem. Oh, we just got to coach him better. We just got to do this better. We just got to do this better. It gets annoying. At the bare minimum, 2, not 3. It's too much. You don't need that. 3's a party. Don't do it anymore. Get rid of it. Throw it out the door. Get rid of it all. Get rid of it all. And, of course, Derek Nix, major recruiter for all running backs. I know him and Alvin Henderson, it's been a major factor with him. You got to fix your internal strategical issues that you had all season long. The talent is a whole other problem. Auburn doesn't have a talent problem, really. It's a coaching problem, is what it felt like. Peyton Thorne has had a massive season in terms of on paper. Of course, there's still those issues that go on with everything inside the helmet. But a lot of the issues we saw from the offense were the Tower Babel issues. Not knowing what plays to call, diverting from the game plan. Oh, the run game's working. Oh, well, let's start passing the ball. Oh, the pass game's not working. Let's not go to the run game. It doesn't work. That's how you get to week 10, week 11, and we're still on here. I'm still here talking about why Auburn doesn't have an identity offensively. Figure out who you want calling the plays. Establish your identity early next year, not late next year. It's as simple as that. I don't think we should be asking questions about what Auburn's offense needs to do or what Auburn's offense needs to look like by the time the second bye week. The last bye week was before Vanderbilt or before ULM, I believe. It was after Vanderbilt, I think. I should not be looking at it like, all right, well, you need to do this to establish your identity. That was week 10 of the season. And I'm sitting there thinking what Auburn needs to do to establish identity. You don't need to do that. Throw it out the door. No more coach by committee. You need to have your game plan, what you want your team to look like, done by week 0. And then you had spring, you had summer, you had fall workouts to establish what you want to do offensively. And you go into week 1, you play Baylor, Power 4 opponent. You play at Baylor. Right there, you establish what you are. We should have a clear idea of what Auburn's offense looks like next year, at least by week 2 or week 3. One of those two. But we definitely should know before SEC conference play. That's what you got to do. It's as simple as that. And, of course, recruiting is going to be a major emphasis going into next year, too. 2026 class is still looking pretty good. But if you still have these issues going into it, you're not going to be guaranteed a year 4. So, going into the offseason, and, I got some pros and some cons to talk about in a second. But there's a lot of different ways to look at Auburn's season ending this early. And, of course, I already previewed the whole coaching issue. That's not one of my pros and cons. That's just something that came up in conversation. But some of the pros and cons for Auburn fans to kind of look at here going forward. I mean, you have, number one, looking ahead, you have the fact that you can get a new quarterback. No more Peyton Thorne. That excuse is now void. There's no more the excuse that Peyton Thorne is the issue here. Next year, it's your guy. It's Hank Brown. It's Walker White. It's a transfer portal quarterback 1, transfer portal quarterback 2. You don't have the excuse anymore that it's Peyton Thorne's fault. You don't have we just need to coach it better, because now you have a do-over. Year 1, it was like, all right, well, maybe nothing. They didn't really get him coached up well enough because he came in late. And then later on in the year, it's like, well, something's not going on. He benches Peyton Thorne after the Cal game. Then New Mexico, Hank Brown had a great game. Arkansas happened. You bench Hank Brown because he had a bad half, because you knew what was coming if you kept him in the whole game. Now you don't have that anymore. So that's one of the pros going into the offseason is Peyton Thorne's career at Auburn is no longer here. He's going off to do better things. I salute him for having a really good season. I mean, if you look on paper, he's like a top 10 Auburn quarterback by season records. But a major con of this, I talk about Peyton Thorne, but a major con for this season and ending so abruptly was the seniors got done. The seniors were done absolutely dirty. You talk about Jarquez Hunter, he had a great year, 1,200 yards on the ground. He finally got more than just 8 touchdowns, but he was done dirty in most of these games. I mean, there was a lot of these games where Jarquez Hunter was taken out of the game plan, or he was taken out of the game just in general, looking at Vanderbilt mostly, because the game plan didn't involve getting him the ball more, or they diverted from Jarquez Hunter, which was the stupidest thing ever. And you look at Keandre Lambert-Smith, he was 20 yards away from getting a 1,000-yard season. It sucks that some of these guys had to go out in the way they did, and you hate it for a lot of these guys, and I hope you get to see a lot of these guys in the NFL. KLS, Jarquez Hunter, definitely going to the league. Oscar Chapman, I think, would go to the league. Some other guys, Valdo Fairweather, I think he got underutilized a lot in this Auburn offense. 372 yards, only got 2 touchdowns. Should have got a lot more receptions on the year. He's going to have a great career in the NFL. Dorian Mausi, Jalen McLeod, Asante, I expect a lot of these guys to be in the NFL next year. I don't know in what regard it would be. I don't know how many of these guys actually get on like I don't want to say get on a roster, but actually get playing time in the NFL right away. But Asante, I expect to be top of the league eventually. He's that good. I get the defense of he was still fourth on the team in tackles. I felt at some point you were like, "Where's Asante at?" But it's because this defense is constantly revolving, trying to switch out guys and everything. But I still think Jalen McLeod. I hate this. His career ends in the way it did. I hate that he never got a chance to beat any of his rivals. And a lot of these guys, I feel the same way. Luke Deal, despite him having 8 years of eligibility, he's the only senior, I think, that was actually on the team in 2019, the last time Auburn beat Alabama. But yeah, it sucks for them. I hate it for them. The seniors were done absolutely dirty. But another pro to the offseason, you get to focus on recruiting. That the 2025 class is a major plus going forward. I mean, you have quarterback of the future in Deuce Knight. You have running backs in Alvin Henderson, and hopefully getting another one by signing day. You have wide receivers coming in. You have D linemen galore. You have offensive linemen coming in as well. So you're looking ahead to that, and this 25 class, I think, could be arguably just as good as what we saw. Excuse me for that. Just as good as what we saw from the 24 class. A lot of these guys are that good. I've been on record. I've said it before. Malik Autry is going to be an X factor right away. Auburn's going to have back-to-back recruiting classes where Malik is the pinnacle of their defensive line. I think you're going to see a lot of good things from Jared Smith, Jordan Crawford, all those guys. You're going to see a lot of this Auburn defense. I mean, even if I'll pull it up again because I love pulling up this graphic, and hopefully I get to add more to it eventually. And just look at that recruiting class right there. Top 10 recruits in the state of Alabama. You're trying to flip Neem Offord, and I think Auburn can. And with that, if they get Neem Offord, I don't think you're getting Zion Grady. I think Auburn's already been off of Zion Grady for a while. But you have Neem Offord. And after that, you have 2 through 5, all Auburn commits. Then 7 through 10, all Auburn commits. This is top 10 recruits in the state of Alabama. Auburn can have 9 out of the 10 top players in the state of Alabama. This class. And I think that's great. I think it's awesome that Auburn's recruiting this well. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Hugh Freeze isn't seen as negatively amongst the entire fan base is because of the hope that's being brought in through recruiting. And you got a top 5 class. I know you lost Tavares Dice or earlier this weekend, but you have an idea that Hugh Freeze can recruit guys to come in to replace him. Tavares Dice is a massive loss. I heard the news and it annoyed me a little bit. I hate that Auburn lost Tavares Dice, but it's the era we come in now where you can empty your pockets for recruits. It happens. But I trust that the recruiting side of things, that's not been a negative issue with this coaching staff. And con of this offseason, though, you don't get extra practices with guys from the 24 class that you probably needed to going forward. I think Walker White probably needed a bowl game. I think he probably would have got one, too. He probably would have at least got a half of the bowl game to kind of go in and kind of see what he can do. That's what happened last year. If things weren't going well, I think if you went to a bowl game, if Auburn finds a way to go to be a 5-7 team in a bowl game, which has happened before. It's not something that's strange or something that's completely rare. I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but I think Walker White would get some chances in a bowl game scenario. Hank Brown would probably get a start, but I think you get a lot of Walker White just to see what he can do, give him more opportunities to go against another P4 higher up G5 team. I think that would have been great for him. I think you would have saw a lot more of Morris Williams. He would have got in probably because you would have seen a lot of these guys like Jalen McLeod, Asante, Jaron Thompson probably would have sat out to go get prepared for the NFL draft, which I wouldn't blame them whatsoever. Go get your bag. That would give you opportunity to see a lot of these other guys you want to see. Get a lot more DeMarcus Riddick. Get some DJ Barber. Get some – I'm blanking on names. Joe – I'm blanking on names. I don't know why I am. Joe Phillips. There we go. Jamonta Waller, I know he's hurt. But get these starting reps for these guys that probably need some reps going forward. That way you have film on them. That does suck about this offseason is you're not going to be able to get a chance to do that during the bowl season, which was the opportunities. Like you got to see DeMarcus Riddick for bowl practices last year. You saw how much of a dog he was. So you don't get to see that in the practices for this offseason, which it sucks. And Auburn can find a way to get by it with some nice spring drills. My last pro, the transfer portal. The transfer portal is opening, which is a great thing for Auburn. You know, you are attacking the recruiting pass very strongly. You're getting some high-end recruits. You're getting guys like Jared Smith coming in. You have Blake Autry. You're getting hopefully still on pace to sign Deuce Knight on Wednesday. And you get all those guys coming in, and then you still have some missing spots on your team. Like you need some veteran players going forward. I mean, we talk about last year with Keandre Lambert-Smith. You know, you had the Freeze 4 coming in and KLS come in as a portal guy. And as KLS was having an absolute awesome season, an all-time season for an Auburn wide receiver, you had the emergence of these freshman guys finally finding their footing. Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons got a chance to shine because of what KLS brought in. And you also had some other guys who were able to kind of ball out of the transfer. Jaron Thompson, Dorian Mausi, both led the team in tackling. But you got to find guys who can fill those gaps. Of course, you don't want to attack we saw that. The portal got utilized more in year one than it did in year two, which is going to be the thing when you're trying to build a brand, try to build your team, is you're going to take your team, try to build it into a competitive team. Year two, you've recruited well, so you're trying to get your recruits going in more, so you use the portal a little less. But Auburn does have an opportunity here. You have to get a portal quarterback. You probably need to get a portal wide receiver, maybe just one, not the 3 that Auburn brought in last year. Was it 3 or 2? I think it was 3, not mistaken. Yeah, Robert Lewis, KLS, and Sam Jackson. You probably need to bring in one. Let these Freeze 4 guys kind of come out and emerge. You got to keep Perry Thompson, though. And a lot of these Freeze 4, you cannot let these guys leave. You got to keep building this wide receiver room up. But you got to get some quarterbacks. You got to you got to get some depth, and you can do that through the portal. And I think Hugh Freeze done a great job through the portal. Hopefully you don't got to use it too much. Don't know who all is going to leave. The portal opening is a scary thing, which brings me to my third con. The transfer portal. It's the same thing. The scariest thing for Auburn right now is the portal opening up. It's the opportunities that players could have elsewhere. And you're going to have some guys leave. Depth-wise, you're going to have some guys leave. And I'll talk about some of those guys in a second that have already announced they plan to leave on December 9th whenever the portal opens up. But you can't have much more than that. I mean, you have those guys that are looking for better opportunities. They didn't get the chances here that they probably would have elsewhere. And they're going to go establish themselves somewhere else. I wish everyone the best of luck whenever they leave Auburn. As long as you don't go to Alabama or Georgia, I respect your wishes of going to have a career for yourself elsewhere. Just remember, it's just anywhere but Alabama and Georgia. But you kind of talk about, I'll take this opportunity to kind of move into my transfer portal updates. Holden Geriner has already announced that he plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal. Micah Riley also announced that he plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal as well whenever it opens up. And Holden Geriner was someone that we pretty much expected. I expected it last year. I was surprised that he actually played through the season as a backup at Auburn instead of leaving and go elsewhere. But Micah Riley caught me by surprise a little bit. I guess more because I didn't expect it to happen so soon. But that kind of comes down to the tight end usage. You know, the tight ends didn't get utilized too much. Valdo Fairweather was fourth on the team in receptions. But after that, I mean, Luke Deal's all the way down here with 1. Brandon Frazier had 1. Micah Riley only had 1 on the year. It was a touchdown, but only for 3 yards. Go get your bag. Go somewhere where you'll be utilized more. And that's what he saw there. Tight ends aren't a massive factor from what we saw this year. Don't know what it'll look like next year. You got 2 tight ends coming in, Ryan Gee and Hollis Davidson through recruiting. Valdo's gone. I think right now you're looking at Rico Walker would be back. Brandon Frazier might. I don't know how his eligibility kind of goes. But yeah, tight ends weren't a massive factor in this Auburn offense. So Michael Riley went off elsewhere. But I do wish him the best of luck, but you got to keep some of these guys. You can't lose any of the freeze four. You can't lose anyone in this defensive backfield, this defensive front. You can't lose guys that were factors in your defense this year. That even goes as far as say you can't lose guys that you have on your staff. You got to keep that entire defensive staff whole because that defensive staff brought in turned a lot of these guys into superstars right away. So use those guys as pieces of recruiting going forward. So you can't let guys get out of your path here. But yeah, that pretty much does it for football. Transfer portal updates. You only got 2 guys leave yet right now. Could be more soon. Don't know. First 2 kind of caught me by surprise. But excuse me. Let's see. Matt Steele TV. I want Walker to win the job. Not going to lie. I mean, I think he could. I don't know if he will, because he probably needs another year. If that really, I lost my background for a second. I would like him to win it, but I'd have to be proven that he is the best quarterback on the roster. I know there was a speculation earlier today that Hank Brown was going into the portal. That got denied. I know we reported it after we saw On3 posted it, thought it was going to happen. Hank Brown came out and denied all of that. But you'll have Hank Brown, you'll have Walker White, and you'll hopefully bring in Deuce Knight. And then after that, you got to bring in a portal guy probably just to have some veteran reps in there. Let's see. F. Scott Fitzbeagle. Another year on the bench for Walker makes no sense unless you got a world beater from the portal. It just depends on what you're getting from Walker. Does he need another year to really get the playbook? Or not get the playbook, but to use the playbook per se. I mean, he's going to be your dual threat guy that you have right now. But if he's not getting it yet, you give him a year, give him another year. He's redshirted, so you have 4 more after this. But I think you gotta think about that going forward. Hank Brown, of course, would probably be the favorite going forward until you get a portal guy come through. But you know, if Hank Brown were to change his mind and enter the portal, Walker would be that guy, and then you'd have to get a portal guy right away if that were to happen. OG22, should we worry about Deuce Knight? I mean, in today's recruiting world, you got to worry about everything. I mean, for coaches, you're recruiting everything. You're recruiting future guys, current guys, your staff, all of that. I know as far as I'm aware, it's between Auburn and Ole Miss are the top 2 teams. Auburn, he's committed to. He's shown no diversion from that. Of course, he was at Ole Miss on Friday for the Egg Bowl, which should always be on Thursday on Thanksgiving. But I can't say so much that I can't say that I'm an insider on anything. I report what I know. But quarterback situations, Auburn's is more friendly for a guy who wants to probably come in and play sooner. Ole Miss has a freshman that is probably going to be the starter right after Jackson Dart leaves, which leaves plenty of time for Deuce Knight to sit on the bench if he goes to Ole Miss. I think Auburn has a more quarterback-friendly depth chart right now for a guy who wants to go in right away. All he has to do is just emerge during spring practice and just show out whenever he gets on campus. I don't know if he'll be an early enrollee. If he would be, that'd be awesome for him. A chance to really kind of show off that he doesn't have to be a full project quarterback. But for him, there's a few. I wasn't really worried about a lot of these guys going forward. This class seems pretty adamant on being together. You just got to probably bring it. Auburn's only a couple pieces away from being at the number, at minimum, top 2 class, top 3 class at minimum. But you just got to flip a couple of guys. Auburn's got some crystal balls coming out for a name offered. They had one come out for 3-star Darian Smith, who's a Michigan recruit. Flip a couple of those guys. You keep this class going, your future looks bright. But we're going to go a quick little break to show off the merch real quick. And outside this break, we're talking about some Auburn basketball because ACC Challenge is coming out this week. So we'll talk about that for a little bit, and we'll get out of here. Nice, 50-minute show. So let's have this break, and we'll be right back with Auburn basketball.
Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program.
And of course, that's available on thewarreport.com. Go to the shop. And of course, you can get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as the college loop hat. But that's just one way you can support the show. The best way you can absolutely support the show is by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Leave your thoughts. What do you think the biggest pro is for Auburn going forward? What do you think Auburn needs to fix the most? Do you think it's a coaching issue? Do you think it's just a play calling issue, which is kind of synonymous, but regardless? Or is it a talent issue or a quarterback issue, which that narrows down to coaching or player issue going forward. So let me know in the comment section below. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Of course, right now we are currently at 911 subscribers, so getting very close to 1,000 if you round up enough. So Auburn basketball is getting ready, men's and women's, getting ready for the SEC and ACC challenge. Auburn men's basketball traveling to Durham, North Carolina, to take on the Duke Blue Devils, which is going to be a massive game for both teams. Auburn, hopefully, AP poll comes out tomorrow. Hopefully, we're talking about our top 2 Auburn team at bare minimum. Auburn, of course, won the Maui Invitational, did so in miraculous fashion. Hopefully get to see a lot more of that. So you look at this game. I mean, Duke is I don't even know. I need to see who exactly is favored here, because I think this game could be pretty close throughout. This game isn't going to be an easy fight regardless for either team. I think right now I might be bugging a little bit. I haven't done research on this. My previews will be for the Tuesday show. But right now Duke is favored because it is in Coleman Indoor Stadium. Right now, I think Auburn does have a good chance. It will not be a blowout by any means, but if Auburn does get the win, it'll speak volumes for what this team can do going forward. Of course, after this game, Auburn will look to take on Richmond on the 4th. And after that, you got Ohio State. Then that same week, you got Georgia State. And then the 21st of December, you got number 13, Purdue. Then you got to wait around till New Year's Eve, take on Monmouth. And then after that, January 4th, SEC conference play starts after that. And it's going to be an absolute fun one. But you got to get through Duke and you got to get through Purdue first. 2 major teams. Ohio State, not a laughing matter there as well. But you got I almost said one of the. You got the best player in the country in Jedi Broom. You have one of the best rotations in the nation. I think Auburn can do some damage. If Auburn's not number 1 in the odds to win the championship, I don't know who else would be. And of course, you got to get there. You got to play all of the games on your schedule, which this team has been pretty adamant on playing as hard as possible. Of course, Iowa State pretty much showed this team will play every single second of the game trying to get a win. And coming back from down 18 against Iowa State was a massive, massive showcase of what this team can be going forward. Women's basketball, of course, also taking on Virginia in the SEC ACC Challenge, and Auburn coming off of a tough loss to Kansas this past weekend as well. Lost 61-60 in the Paradise Jam off of I believe it was a game-winning point scored at the end of the game, if I'm not mistaken. But Auburn did find a couple game winners themselves. Of course, one coming across northern Iowa. Deona Gaston was able to get that. You blow out Pitt, 82-50. You lose to Kansas. Now you're looking ahead at Virginia. Auburn currently 5-3 right now. And Virginia, right now, this game is projected to go Auburn's way. Shockingly enough, the game will be played at Virginia. You prove you can play and get some wins now. You lost to Oregon closely. You lost to Cal closely. All your losses have come between 1 and 4 points. So you got some opportunities here. And, you got conference play coming up January 2nd. And you got to turn some of these games that, you can't lose going forward and non-con play. Right now, you got Virginia, you got UAB after that. I think both teams actually have UAB, if I'm not mistaken. Or am I wrong about that? No, only one of them does. Sorry. You got to win this. Of course, I'll preview tomorrow because both these games go on at the same time. I mean, Auburn men's basketball, they play in 3 days. And I'm go by the timer on the athletics page. 3 days, 1 hour, and 24 minutes. Women's basketball plays in 3 days, 22 hours, and 9 minutes. One on December 5th, the other one on December 4th. So we'll have a preview for the guys on the Tuesday show, and then we'll be able to preview the girls, the women's team, on the Thursday show, and of course have a recap of that on next week's live stream, which will be the first live stream, but we don't talk about Auburn football or recap a game. But of course, we'll still have a pick'ems and all that going forward. So I do want to shout out everybody. And of course, I got some comments down here. Teresa says a combination of both coaching and player. And Habersham Jim, I think I'm saying that right, quarterback issue and coaching issue. Completely agree. It's an amalgamation of everything that goes wrong with Auburn football. Just things got to be fixed. And we'll be here to talk about everything that we think needs to be fixed right here on the College Loop. We should like, comment, subscribe yet again. Can't overstate that enough. But of course, that does it for this installment of the College Loop. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everybody who was commenting. I saw at some point we had about 40 people watching, which is awesome. But of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe yet again. Can't overstate that. I'll say that. That's my catchphrase. Can't overstate that enough. But of course, I'm Dylan Larck on Twitter and of course Instagram as well at Dylan Larck at DYLANLARCK. Visual aids right here in the bottom left corner, and follow us over there at the College Loop on every social media platform: Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. The works all is at the College Loop. Excuse me. I've been trying to utilize social media a lot more with the channel, trying to post more video content. We've been doing that. TikTok. Had a couple of Bama fans show up on my TikTok. That wasn't fun, but it happened regardless. So check us out over there. And of course, don't forget to check out the audio versions of the show as well on I forgot podcasting for a second. Spotify podcast, Google Podcasts, of course, Amazon Music, or just wherever you get your podcast. But of course, all that being said, thanks for tuning in to this installment of the College Loop podcast. And as always, it's basketball season. Wait, actually, I forgot to do another pro, but it's fine. And as always, war